What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the SO Show. Today we're gonna do little things different. For one, we in a car. Normally I'm in the house, but we in the car this time, and we about to react to this video. The craziest trades that almost happened. Now I don't know what they got going on with this video, but we gonna see, and I'm gonna give my little analysis to it.
Some of the biggest NBA superstars were once moments away from being traded in moves that would completely alter NBA history. For every trade that happens, there are at least 50 that fall through. These are the craziest trades that almost happened. He is a two-time MVP, a four-time champion, and the best shooter in NBA history. But what nobody talks about is how Steph Curry was almost traded from the Warriors, not once, not twice, but 3 times. A few days before the 2009 NBA draft, the Warriors agreed to trade their number 7 pick in a package for one of the best big men in the NBA, Amar'e Stoudemire. The move was orchestrated by none other than Steve Kerr, the then general manager of the Suns, who was looking to rebuild around that number 7 draft pick. But when that pick turned out to be Steph, the Warriors started getting cold feet. They never believed that they would have a chance to draft Curry, and when they did, the Warriors backed out at the very last second.
Our draft room erupted
because
we thought the deal was in place and Steph was going to be a Phoenix Sun, and it didn't happen. It fell through.
However, just 2 years later, the Warriors, well, they weren't exactly thrilled with their decision. Yes, Steph could really shoot the rock, but he was skinny and he was always dealing with injuries, primarily due to his ankles that appeared to be made of glass. During the 2011 season, Golden State offered Steph in a desperate attempt to lure Chris Paul away from New Orleans. But CP3 never considered the Warriors as a destination, and that deal ultimately collapsed as well. Then, finally, in 2012, amid another losing season, the Dubs wanted to offload Curry to Milwaukee in exchange for the former number 1 pick, Andrew Bogut. All negotiations were set until the Bucks medical staff pulled the plug on the trade because they didn't believe Steph's ankles would hold up.
The doctor part, I can't put a name to it, but I know that was a part of the conversation because it all happened at once for me.
So the Warriors offered Monte Ellis instead of Curry, and Milwaukee accepted, believing that they got an even better player in the deal. In those very next 2 years, Steph absolutely started to cook the league.
Milwaukee doctor, I hope he's still not the same doctor there.
And those Bucks doctors got fired. However, before Golden State won their first title, they nearly messed it all up once more. In the 2014 offseason, after their first round...
I'm going to just stop it right there real quick because I got a quick thought. Imagine trading Steph Curry for Andrew Bogut. Imagine that. Imagine that. Or CP3 for Steph Curry. Imagine. That's crazy. Warriors almost messed that up. I ain't gonna lie. They almost messed up. Andrew, bro, what?
Exit against the Clippers, the Dubs wanted to add a star player, and they set their eyes on Kevin Love. Love was coming off a dominant season with the Timberwolves, averaging 26 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game. A 3-time All-Star, a rebounding machine, and a great shooter, Love's addition made a lot of sense in a league that still played with 2 big men in the middle. But the only problem was that Klay Thompson would also have to be included in the deal. Klay was not yet an All-Star, nor was he averaging 20 points. And Golden State's brass were inches away from pulling the trigger. Thankfully, they also had Jerry West on the team in an advisory role. And Jerry straight up threatened to quit his job if they traded Klay Thompson. The deal never went through, and less than a year later, Jerry's genius was proven correct when Klay and Steph raised the Larry O'Brien Trophy. But it was in 1996, when Jerry West worked for the Lakers, that he proved to be a visionary by stealing Shaq from the Magic and absolutely bamboozling the Hornets into trading Kobe Bryant. 3 championships and 1 ugly feud later, Kobe was looking for a trade because he couldn't stand Shaq and he wanted to win on his own.
When I retire, I don't want people to say, okay, you only won because of Shaq. But yet, this is the argument people will make, and I'm not okay with that. And so therefore, I knew, okay, I gotta go.
But then Shaq got traded to Miami, where he won his 4th championship, while Kobe was stuck in LA, carrying Smush Parker and losing in the first round. Frustrated and crazy competitive, Kobe wanted to win so desperately that he demanded to get traded again. The Lakers orchestrated a deal that would ultimately send Bryant to the Pistons, but Kobe wasn't interested in playing in Detroit, so he vetoed the deal. And while Kobe was looking for greener pastures, another NBA superstar was hoping to team up with him in LA. Kevin Garnett gave the Timberwolves his blood, sweat, and tears for 12 seasons, but the only thing he got in return was incompetent management and playoff disappointments. Miserable, Kevin finally asked for a long overdue trade. And 4 teams, well, they were lining up for his services.
I had Oakland, I had Phoenix, I had the Lakers, and I had the Celtics. I wanted to link with Kobe, and I couldn't get him on the line.
If only Kobe had picked up, maybe we could have had 2 of the meanest and most hardworking mofos on the same team, which would have been nasty. But still, it worked out in the end.
Okay, so let me get this straight now. We could have had Kevin Garnett and Kobe on the same team in LA in a prime. Could you? I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine that because they 2 alpha dogs. But Kevin Garnett know how to take the back seat. But I didn't know Kevin Garnett was with the Timberwolves for 12. He was with them for 12 years. He wasted that much time with the Timberwolves for 12 years. Yeah, you should have been dipped. He should have been dipped. But Kevin Garnett and Kobe, that would have been a cool, nice 2-man game. You know what I'm saying? You got Kobe in the post, backing down, ha, ha, ha. You know what I'm saying? Doing what he do. Then we got KG in the post. You know what I'm saying? Post moves for days. Turn around, Jay. Get past you, dunk on you, float it on you, shoot over you. Like, that would have been a tough duo. That would have been a tough duo. I'm not gonna lie.
In February of 2009, the OKC Thunder sent forwards Joe Smith and Chris Wilcox to New Orleans for Tyson Chandler, a 7-foot athletic marvel who would soon become the Defensive Player of the Year. This was 6 months before Ibaka and Harden got drafted, and if the Thunder managed to get all of them together with KD and Westbrook, forget about it. It would have been over for the league.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
But Chandler sadly was a member of the Thunder for only a day. It was the Thunder doctors who failed Chandler on his physical, believing that Chandler's left big toe might not hold up to the rigors of the NBA. Thunder general manager Sam Presti took the doctor's advice, and Chandler, well, he was returned to New Orleans. However, that wasn't the only New Orleans trade that got rescinded. This next trade was gigantic, and its veto was even bigger. In a series of events so huge the entire sports world was shaken up. And that is, of course, the 2011 Chris Paul trade to the Lakers. It was the end of the 2011 lockout, when CP announced that he wouldn't resign with New Orleans and that he'd become a free agent. Not willing to let him walk for free, the Hornets began searching for trade partners. And because CP was the best point guard in the NBA at the time, they quickly found them. Paul was supposed to become a Laker, forming a star-studded backcourt with Kobe Bryant. The Rockets, who entered this deal as a third team, they would receive Pau Gasol, while the Hornets would get veteran forwards Lamar Odom and Luis Scola, young guards Kevin Martin and Goran Dragic, and a 2012 first-round draft pick. It was a win-win-win trade that looked great on paper for everybody, but not everybody thought so. The Hornets, they were owned by the NBA, who bought the team a year earlier so it wouldn't go bankrupt and fold. And because of that, all the final decisions around the team could be decided by the NBA commissioner, David Stern. As part of our role as interim owners, the objective was to both attract a potential buyer for the franchise and then ultimately sell the franchise to someone. But before that happened, the team was up and running, they had a general manager, and they continued to work and conduct business as they normally would. We were the owners of a franchise, but we also had the dual role of approving all trades. So it was a bit of a conundrum, said Stu Jackson, the NBA executive vice president in 2011. While Chris Paul was at home packing his bags and celebrating that he'd team up with Kobe, Commissioner David Stern was getting ready to veto the trade. And when he did, the world was stunned. Everybody involved felt cheated, especially Chris Paul. However, less than one...
That's what I always loved about NBA. They never did that. It was always one or maybe two superstars to a team. If not, only one superstar to a team. So NBA, I can't really blame David Stern for that. That was just a different era, and that was way ahead of his time. Like LeBron was like the first like major like the beginning of the stacked teams, like creating super teams. That was the first time we ever seen something like that. Like, we never really seen anything like that. LeBron teaming up with D Wade, Chris Bosh going over there at the same time too, all teaming up, forming one big super team in the Eastern Conference at that. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really blame David Stern for vetoing that trade, nor can I go for it too.
But the commissioner felt that the Hornets would be too good to yield a high draft pick and yet too bad to be a contender. Being mediocre was where nobody wanted to be, and the NBA also felt that it would lower the price for the upcoming sale of the franchise. Once again, proving that the NBA is a business first and a sport second. But arguably, the biggest what-if trade in NBA history wasn't the CP3 trade, nor the Garnett and Kobe Bryant link-up. For the biggest near trade in NBA history, we have to go all the way back to 1984 to the Michael Jordan draft. The Rockets drafted Hakeem Olajuwon with the first pick, and the Portland Trail Blazers famously selected Sam Bowie in front of Michael Jordan. In his book, Living the Dream, Hakeem Olajuwon told the story of how Portland so desperately wanted a dominant center, but they weren't sure of Bowie's health. So they offered the Rockets the second pick in the draft and sophomore guard Clyde Drexler in exchange for Ralph Sampson, a 7'3" phenom who had just won the Rookie of the Year with the Rockets. Now, if Houston had accepted this trade, they would have Hakeem, Clyde, and the second pick in the 1984 draft, which could have been MJ. Olajuwon, Drexler, and Jordan made 36 All-Star teams combined, and would have absolutely dominated the NBA for 15 years or more if this trade went through. But this was the era where big men were valued at a premium, and the Rockets declined this offer, pairing Olajuwon with Sampson. In the short term, it was a really good decision since their twin towers played off each other well, and Houston made it to the NBA Finals in 1986. However, this wasn't the only near trade that could have drastically impacted Jordan and the Bulls. In 1994, when MJ was out playing baseball, the Bulls and the Supersonics were considering swapping Scottie Pippen for Shawn Kemp. And although this was just a rumor, Seattle fans were outraged, and they started to swarm local radio shows with phone calls, expressing their displeasure with the idea of trading Kemp.
The fans in Seattle said that they were going to burn down the Seattle Coliseum if the trade went through.
Supersonics owner Barry Ackerley heard the voice of the people and immediately pulled the plug on the trade. Then, in 1997, Pippen nearly got traded again. Since he was in the last year of his contract, GM Jerry Krause wanted to cash in on Scottie and bring in some young talent to carry the franchise for the next decade. And Krause set his eyes on an 18-year-old rookie coming out of high school, Tracy McGrady. In the long term, this would have been a great move for the Bulls. But in reality, since the Bulls were fighting for championship number 6, it was a big no-no.
The last hours before draft night, I flew to Chicago and got a physical and had conversations with Jerry Krause and everything. And he was real serious about trying to get me in that draft.
Pippen, he'd go on to win the Last Dance title with the Bulls. But then he left the team for absolutely nothing, joining Hakeem and Barkley in Houston. And it was Sir Charles who also had one what-if trade, which made him so happy that he actually got drunk before a game.
I have never drank before a game before, but that's the only time I've ever did it in my life. I don't even remember the game.
It was 1992, and Chuck was in his prime. But his Sixers, on the other hand, were awful. Barkley was frustrated to waste his talent on a losing team, and he wanted to get traded for months. Then, one day, his wishes were answered. His agent called him and let him know that he was being traded to the Lakers. Unfortunately for Chuck and the Lakers fans, the deal fell through, and he would later get traded to Phoenix, where he would win the league MVP. 7 years later, another superstar got traded 1 year before he won the MVP. That superstar was Allen Iverson. The year was 2000, and Iverson's coach was Larry Brown. Those two hated each other's guts. As Brown, he could not find a way to discipline AI. Iverson was extremely stubborn, but also too good to be put on the bench. It all pointed to an ugly divorce, and the 76ers orchestrated a big trade to send Iverson to Detroit in a package deal where 12 players were to be exchanged between 4 teams. In such a complicated trade, every single dollar has to balance out, and everything would have been fine if it wasn't for Matt Geiger. Geiger was the 76ers center who refused to waive his $1.2 million trade kicker, which ultimately messed up the balance sheets and killed the whole deal. If it wasn't for Geiger, Iverson would never become a cult hero in Philadelphia and won his MVP during that unforgettable 2001 finals run. And finally, we have a 2017 trade that just may have kept LeBron in Cleveland until the end of his career. You see, the Cavs, they were just moments away from finalizing a 3-team deal that would have sent Paul George to Cleveland, Kevin Love to Denver, and Gary Harris and other pieces to Indiana.
My agent, Aaron, was like, yo, we're hearing stuff from Boston. We're hearing stuff from Cleveland. Bro, I thought I was going to go to Cleveland. Cleveland was like close to getting me with Bron there.
Thanks for watching Nonstop.
That was a cool video. I'm not gonna lie. This is a video from Nonstop. The video will be in the link description if you want to watch it by yourself. But you know, it was a good video though. I learned a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so from this we could from this video alone, okay, we almost had Curry to the Bucks. We almost had Klay Thompson to the Bucks, right? I can't remember. KG and Kobe could have been a duo. You know what I'm saying? Cool pick and roll, calm, cool, dominant pick and roll. You know what I'm saying? We could have had MJ in Houston with Hakeem and you know, the Twin Towers and all. You know, he could have been with them. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. And we're gonna do a lot more reactions if y'all like this. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do a lot more reactions. I like doing reaction. I like reacting to different type of videos and giving my opinion on them. So yeah, this is fun, and I'll see y'all in the next video. And thank y'all for watching.